Alright guys, it's BLM here. It's time for another review. This is going to be a review of White Light. And I cannot fucking believe that this episode actually came up. Yeah, as I said, I do these by random. This is my third one. I already said this before. I put it all in a spreadsheet. Go to random.org. Put in 1 through 769, I believe is the amount of episodes that there are. Push a random number. And then the number I put up, that's the number of the episode that I'm going to review. And 3 times. This is my third review. First one was Once a Ranger. Second one was Ninja Quest. And now it's fucking White Light. It just blows my mind that all first 3 were all great episodes. It's probably because they're two multi-parters, so it's easier to land on them. But I mean, still, it's just blows my mind that it just ended up going on White Light. And what's so weird is I was talking about this episode in the previous video as well. So yeah, White Light is the 17th, 18th episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2. This is my least favorite season. Well, I mean, unless you can include Alien as its own separate season, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2 is my least favorite season. But I think White Light is definitely the best episode of the season. It's definitely like a top, I don't know, probably top 30 episode. It's a great episode. I absolutely love it. It's the first Mighty Morphin Power Ranger episode I ever watched, actually. And if you don't know, this episode is the debut of the White Ranger. So yeah, I guess I'll start off with just a review what happens in the episode. The episode starts off at the youth center where Kimberly tells Billy and Trini that Tommy is coming home. So the Rangers decide to plan a surprise party and shit. While that's happening, Zordon and Alpha start talking about a secret mission that they need to accomplish. So they shut down the command center and go to do their mission. At the same time, Lord Zed uses his magical powers to turn a statue into a monster. And then also at the same time, Bulk and Skull find Rita Repulsa in her dumpster thing, and they try to open it up in Skull's father's workshop. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this episode all at the same time. There's like 4 different story arcs going on. So the Rangers start fighting Zed's new monster, Nimrod, which is a retarded name, but whatever. The Thunder Megazord gets completely defeated. It needs repairs and stuff like that. Something I actually didn't notice until watching it this time, because before I do my reviews, I'll watch the episode right before it, so that I have a fresh memory of what happens in the episode, even though by the time I shoot these, I end up forgetting anyway, but whatever. What's so strange I never noticed is that the footage is clipped up and stuff. I didn't notice this, but so I guess in the Sentai, the equivalent of the Thunder Megazord, the equivalent of Nimrod, never fought. I don't remember. I actually watched Die Ranger a few months ago. I just don't remember, but I guess it never happened because all the footage is just spliced up and stuff like that. And at the same time, Tommy is swimming in a lake for absolutely no reason. It makes no sense. He sent a letter to Kimberly saying that he's coming home, yet they show him freaking swimming in a fucking lake. I mean, that's fucking random as hell. But whatever, he gets out of the fucking lake and he gets teleported somewhere else. After that, Billy goes to the command center and finds a hidden door. He walks into the door and he sees Zordon and Alpha working on a new Ranger. That's the end of part 1. Part 2 pretty much starts with the Rangers complaining that there's a new Ranger, because they want Tommy to have the new Ranger powers, not some random dumbass. So yeah, the Rangers get called back to the command center when Alpha and Zordon are done, and they are told that there's a new Ranger. So Zordon and Alpha reveal the new White Ranger, and it turns out to be Tommy. This is probably one of the best moments in Power Rangers history. I would say probably top 10. It's just a very symbolic moment. I mean, when people think of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, this is one of the first scenes that people think of. Something I kind of thought was retarded is that Kimberly faints. I mean, I know they wanted to add dramatic effect and crap like that, but I mean, they really have to have her pass out. I mean, I don't understand why you would pass out. I don't understand why your emotions would be so high at that moment that you would pass out. So yeah, Tommy's the new White Ranger, and they have a whole bunch of shit to do, so Zordon splits them up and makes them do individual tasks. Jason, Zach, and Kimberly are sent to stop Bulk and Skull from opening the dumpster that Rita is in. The reason why makes no sense for me, because they explain it in the story that the reason why they need to stop them is because Rita will reveal their identities, which makes kind of no sense. When you think about it, Rita, when she escapes, the first thing she's gonna do is reveal their identities. I think she'll fucking destroy the Earth first before she fucking reveals their identities. But whatever, fuck it. Billy and Trini are sent to repair the Zords. They're not really shown doing anything. And Tommy obviously is sent to fight Nimrod with the new White Tiger Zord. And actually, I made a mistake in my last video. In my last video, I said that I remember hearing White Ranger Tiger Power in this episode, and it just stuck in my mind. but it was actually the Green Ranger theme song. Just them switching it out with the White Ranger, with saying White Ranger instead of Green Ranger. I guess I got confused or whatever. I actually didn't even notice it until watching it again that I was mistaken. So I don't know. This scene where Tommy fights Nimrod is very, very strange. Mostly because it was Sentai footage. If you don't know, Kaiba Ranger, which is the White Ranger's Sentai equivalent, it was actually a kid. Now they later did this with Justin and Power Rangers. However, in Sentai actually did it first with this kid being Kaiba Ranger, and actually they did it later too with the equivalent of the Gold Ranger here, King Ranger, in Japan being a kid as well. The White Ranger, this was his debut episode in the Sentai, and he was very immature. That's why he acts so like crazy and shit, like going like ape shit, like saying, "Oh yeah, holy shit, yeah, fuck yeah." Like that's why he's like so excited. So really, it doesn't match with Tommy's personality at all, but they kind of had to do it because of the Sentai footage. Yeah, the White Tiger Zord transforms into its warrior mode or whatever, and it still gets defeated by Nimrod. And I did not personally like this because it pretty much shows that the White Ranger is somewhat weak. I mean, they just spent the first part of the episode building him and shit, yet he gets defeated in his first battle. This is also a complaint I have with another episode. That's one of my favorite episodes, Samurai's Journey, later on, but I'll talk about that whenever I get to review that episode. That was something I was really disappointed with in this episode, is that, I mean, it happened in the Sentai too, so I mean, whatever, but I mean, it kind of made more sense since he was a kid and unexperienced in the Sentai, while here, I mean, he was a very skilled fighter and he was a previous Ranger, so it kind of makes it kind of disappointing that he was defeated in the first battle. But because of that, he needs the help of the other Rangers. So Jason comes with the Red Dragon Thunder Zord and its warrior mode or whatever, rides on Tiger Sword's back, and they end up fighting the monster, which they do better. And after that, they combine into the Mega Tiger Zord, which is pretty much the Tiger Zord and everything for the Thunder Megazord except for the Red Ranger Zord. They're easily able to defeat Nimrod. After that, the Rangers head back to stop Rita from escaping, and this is quite possibly the worst scene of the entire episode. It's just so awkward the way that they did it. I mean, they were limited to Sentai footage for the actual Rita. I understand that part, but the part that I didn't understand is the fact that they used like action figure in the scenes where they didn't have Sentai footage to use. It's so strange that it would change from like a real person to an action figure, like back and forth, back and forth. It was just so weird. I mean, I guess that's what they had. I mean, they couldn't really do much different, so whatever. And of course, the episode ends off with Tommy and everyone else at his celebration thing, and they're just like, whatever, yeah, he's back. Alright, time for random thoughts that I normally do in these videos. I like this episode. I absolutely love this episode. I mean, it's one of my favorite episodes of all time. Definitely my favorite episode of the season. There's some parts that I did not like in part 1, just stuff that sticks in my mind. Zach, like when they announced that Tommy is coming back, he goes, "Yeah!" Is that like a really like real reaction? I mean, like Jason's reaction like seemed more genuine, while Zach's was like, "Yeah, holy shit!" Like it just seemed very strange. Something about this episode that's very strange, that's different from most episodes in this season, is that it actually uses a lot of Sentai footage. Mainly because of the introduction of the White Ranger, which the White Ranger being added allowed them to use less American footage and more Sentai footage. So, because the White Ranger, if you don't know, was from Die Ranger, while the rest were from Jew Ranger. And they ran out of Jew Ranger footage, however they still had Jew 2 footage, but whatever. Yeah, there's some Jew 2 footage in this episode, especially in the beginning fight with Nimrod, when they're fighting him on the foot and stuff. Then after that, there is a whole bunch of Die Ranger footage with the White Ranger, obviously the Nimrod when he was small, and then, or she, whatever, and then the Zord battle. Now, I really liked Tommy coming back as the White Ranger. I think this was perfect for everyone involved, perfect for the fans, and perfect for Saban. I think this is the best thing that they could have done. Now, if you don't know, the original White Ranger was actually going to be Brad Hawkins, which if you don't know who he is, he later ended up playing Ryan Steele in VR Troopers, which was another Saban series that was based on 3 of the Metal Heroes series. Which Metal Heroes is another tokusatsu series, a lot like Super Sentai. It was inspired by Ishinomori, who is the creator of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, so I mean, it was a tokusatsu series, just to sum it up. And they actually cast Brad Hawkins to be the White Ranger, and Jason David Frank, who plays Tommy, was actually going to be the star in Cybertron, which was the pilot for what later became VR Troopers. What they ended up doing, fans had sent in letters over and over again to Saban saying bring back Tommy, and they ended up deciding that they would give the two a decision. They could switch roles, where Brad Hawkins could be the star of VR Troopers, and Jason David Frank could come back to Power Rangers, and they ended up doing it. It was kind of a benefit for both parties involved. Brad Hawkins could star in his own television show, while Jason David Frank could come back to a show he's been in the past. So really, it helped out everyone. The thing that I don't like about the first part is that it seems like it's just filler. I mean, stuff happens, but it just doesn't, I don't know. Like, the first 5 minutes, like, introduces what the episodes are going to be about, and then, but it seems like the middle just drags on for too long. Like the part with the putty fight, the parts with the statue where they're investigating the statue. It just seems like it takes way too long for that part. But on the other hand, part 2 I think is a lot better. Again, like, they waste time for putty fight, but I mean, overall, it's just a better episode in almost every single way. Now, during post-production of this episode, this is actually when Austin St. John, Tui Trong, and Walter Jones actually left the show. I mean, everyone already did the ADRs for this episode, so they were still like the voices for the characters and stuff like that, and obviously they still were in the episode and everything. However, they did change one line, or 2 lines technically, at the last second. Now, right after they introduced the White Ranger, there was a line that I would think would have been something to the nature that this is the new Ranger on the team, or something to that nature. However, they changed it to like something to the nature of this is the new leader of the team. And then there was another line at the end of the scene where they introduced the White Ranger, where Zordon says something about Tommy being the new leader of the Power Rangers. And the main reason they did this is because, as I said, Austin St. John, Walter Jones, and Tui Chong left, meaning Austin St. John, who played Jason, the Red Ranger, was going to be gone, who was the previous leader. And because of this, they had to find replacements, which ended up being Rocky, Aisha, and Adam. And they did not want Rocky, who is like a rookie ranger, to be the leader of the group when there were other more experienced rangers. So because of that, they made Tommy the leader of the Power Rangers at the last second, and pretty much demoting Jason for like the remainder of like what 6-7 episodes he was in. Also because of that, this is one of the last episodes where Jason, Zach, and Trini fight on Morph. Yeah, that's my overall thoughts on the episode and just random facts. Alright, time for scores, I guess. Part 1, I'll give a 6. I think part 1 is a decent episode. I mean, it sets up for what ends up happening in part 2. I don't know, it seems like a majority of the footage was like sliced up when it comes to the battles. When it comes to Megazord battle, and even like all of them are pretty much just sliced up footage using G2 footage and Die Ranger footage. And then the rest of the episode is pretty much the Rangers just like investigating the statue and fighting putties, which is not that interesting. So, I mean, yeah, I'll give part 1 a 6. I praise it for it leading up to one of the greatest episodes in my personal opinion, but it's just kind of a boring one in the middle. Part 2, however, I'll give a 9. I think it's a phenomenal episode. It does have its flaws. It's not a perfect episode, especially with Rita at the end. That's really the only thing that knocks it down from a 10. Because really, for me to give it a 10, it doesn't have to be perfect, because there really is no perfect Power Ranger episode, but it has to be pretty much as close to perfect a Power Ranger episode can get. And this one was close. However, the Rita thing with the action figure just like completely ruins it for me. I mean, everything else is great in this episode except for that, in my personal opinion. Yeah, merging the two together, I'll give this episode an 8. It's a phenomenal episode, especially part 2. It's just classic. I mean, it's classic. I mean, when you think of Power Rangers, Season 2, this is one of the first episodes that comes up. Yeah, I guess stay tuned for my next review. Hopefully it will be on a filler, because I kind of want to review a filler to prove that I'm not fucking lying about this shit. But, yeah, thank you for watching.